What's up, folks? Today we're going to talk about setting up Webpack 4 configurations and splitting them up for development and production builds. This way, you can keep your code modular, clean, and optimized for different environments. A lot of Webpack setup tutorials out there assume a setup with Create React App. Now, Create React App is great because it sets up a lot of things for you out of the box. However, sometimes you need a bit more customization for your project and also need to set up Webpack for non-React based projects. If you're looking for a way to do just that, you're in the right place. This tutorial assumes a basic understanding of Webpack 4, but if you're new to it, that's okay. Just check out the Webpack 4 for Beginners video linked in the description and then come back to this video. Alright, let's jump in. So why do we need different Webpack bundles? Every environment is prone to a different set of concerns. For development environments, we don't care as much about the smallest possible bundle size as we do the ability, as you would imagine, to be able to reload our app live as we develop it. Setting up Webpack's development server, also known as hot module replacement, allows us to see our changes instantly as we write code, and is paramount to our ability to be able to write code fast. Source maps. Source maps give our compressed development builds a succinct way to link back to their original place in the source code, allowing you much easier debugging capabilities while developing. The eval source map option will give you the most comprehensive mapping, but there are many others to choose from, and they all affect your build time, so pick what's best for you. For production environments, our focus is on keeping our bundles and assets small to deliver lighter weight files to the client. This ensures that our apps will load faster for users. Tree shaking helps eliminate our dead and unused code and comes enabled out of the box with Webpack 4's production mode. Minification is also incredibly important and reduces our final output bundle size. Webpack 4 comes with Cursor plugin enabled automatically. However, for production builds, at the time of filming this tutorial, if you're using modern ES 2015 syntax and transpiling through Babel, you may see an error and need to configure the Cursor plugin manually to fix that, which is what we'll do in our project. Now, just as a note, with production, source maps can and should be used to help with debugging your production apps. However, you'll want to only use the recommended lighter weight production approved options like source map or hidden source map, depending on whether you want to expose your source code to your end user's dev tools or not. First, let's create an example project that we want to bundle up. So from our terminal, we're going to create the starter directory and then cd into that directory. Next, we're going to create a package.json file with all of the default values, using the -y flag that says yes to all default values. Go ahead and check that it created the file just fine by listing the directory's contents, and boom, there it is. Next, we're going to head over to the Webpack documentation to verify what we need to do next. In the Webpack installation guide, they tell us to install the Webpack and Webpack CLI npm packages. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we head back to our terminal and we install our dependencies to our development dependencies. So we do that with npm I or npm install -d, capital D, for our development dependencies, and Webpack and Webpack CLI. And there we go. With Webpack 4, we no longer need to create a configuration file, but for the sake of this project and most, you'll need a separate config to customize your module loading and bundling. So let's use the Webpack CLI to create a starter Webpack config file so we don't have to set up our base config completely from scratch. This will give us more time to focus on actually splitting the file into the different environment-specific configurations. To use the CLI's init module to generate a config file for us, you need to also have the CLI installed globally so you can use the global init command from the terminal. So let's go ahead and install Webpack CLI and the init command. We use the -g flag for global and the @Webpack CLI init command. All right, great. So now let's go ahead and run the init command. For now, just to keep things simple, we'll say no, our application will only have the one bundle. And we'll just collect all the defaults. Put our dist folder. We'll be using Babel, so we want to use modern ES 2015 syntax. And we won't be using Sass, less CSS for now. We'll say nope. All right, great. So we've got everything installed. Let's go ahead and open up our project now. You can use VS Code if you want to. That's what I have with the code syntax there, or you can open it up in Atom or whatever your preferred text editor of choice is. In our project, we see that Webpack CLI's init command generated a webpack.dev.js file for us. So let's go ahead and open that. We see that it includes a few default imports for the Webpack and Path modules. It also leaves a comment for us about what else is enabled by default with Split Chunks plugin and Uglify.js plugin. Now, since we don't need those, we can go ahead and remove them from this file, which will later become our common configuration file that's shared between the dev and production Webpack configuration files. And we'll go down here and remove these two. And we can remove the mode for development, since we'll include that with our development configuration. Now we'll also set up the output file name to be .bundle.js versus the chunk hash. So by convention, whatever your input file name, which is here in brackets, so if your input file was index.js, then it would output to index.bundle.js. We also see that the starter file gives us configuration with Babel as we requested, and it includes an entry point in the source folder. So that's where it's going to look for the index.js file. And since we don't have a source folder, we'll go ahead and create that now. And just as a side note too, for those of you who aren't familiar with the multiple cursors, you can select whatever you'd like to and Command D to do whatever you want. Okay, go ahead and save that. And now let's go ahead and create our source folder with an index.js file in it. Okay, now we have our entry file created, and we're going to go ahead and go back to our common file for now. And We do have this named dev, and since we're going to use this as our common configuration, let's go ahead and rename that now. Okay, it's now renamed, and let's see what happens if we go ahead and try to bundle this now as is. So let's go back to our terminal, and we're just going to type Webpack to start the bundle process. And as you can see, it ran it just fine. However, it gave us a warning that the mode had not been set, because remember we removed the development mode from the configuration for the common configuration. So we can go ahead and go back. Go ahead and clear that out. Go back. And we're going to go ahead and start creating our development configuration. So in order to use multiple Webpack configurations together, we need to merge them. So in order to merge, you guessed it, we need a module called Webpack Merge to go ahead and do that for us. So let's go ahead and go back to our terminal and install that to our dev dependencies. All right, and we go back, and let's just double check our common configurations to see what that exports. It exports an object, and keep in mind when you're splitting up your Webpack configurations like this, you can either use a function that you're exporting that returns an object, or you could just export the pure object itself. Right now we're exporting the pure object, but just something to keep in mind if you ever need to use a function for some reason, because there are benefits to doing it that way as well. So we're going to go ahead and create a merge variable here, requiring the Webpack Merge module. Now we are going to export the result of the merge function running on our common config, which we haven't imported yet, and a function, that will return an object. Which will be our exported object. So let's go ahead and import and we can leave off the .js because it'll know when it's searching for the Webpack common configuration. And so now all we have to set up are the dev specific configurations. So we want to set up our dev tool to remember to be the inline source map because we're still in development. And we want to set up our mode to be development. And in addition to that, we want to use a dev server with the options, of hot reloading true. Great. Also within our dev server object here, we want to make sure that we set the content base for where all of the content will be served from. So that way it knows where to look, and we'll be serving our content from the dist folder. So once it's output to the dist folder, as we see here, then it will know to look for everything else there. All right, let's go ahead and add the relative path there so that we don't get any errors and it can actually find the common configuration. And let's go back to our common config and make sure we have our entry point set up correctly, and we add a plugin to clean the dist folder every time we build. So that way we don't have any stale files in there. So we've got our entry point, which will be the source index file, and it will create a new clean Webpack plugin cleaning out the dist folder. So let's go ahead and create a variable for the clean Webpack plugin. Great. So to verify that everything is working correctly, we want to make sure we have something in our index.js file to compile. So let's go ahead and go there and create just a simple little function. Hello there. And simple little function. And it will return that greeting. And then we want to invoke it with hello. Great. Let's go ahead and close out of there. To make our lives a million times easier, I also recommend us create a package.json script right now to run the dev build command automatically. So let's go ahead and delete this test command and create a build command instead that will run Webpack with the development mode enabled with the -- mode. And we want to make sure we use the right configuration. So we want the webpack.dev.js configuration. And you can also put these configurations in their own separate folder if you want to, depending on the structure of your project, and you would outline that here if it was in, say, for instance, a config folder or something like that. And let's head back to our common configuration real quick and go ahead and fix this package name typo. So it's clean Webpack plugin. And we want to make sure that we install this as well so we don't get any unexpected errors. Go ahead and save that. Save to our development dependencies, clean Webpack plugin. All right, so to verify that everything is working correctly, now that we have the plugin installed, let's go ahead and go back really briefly and make sure that our file, our index.js file, is logging the results of this function to the console. So we'll go ahead and add a console log there, save the file, and now let's go ahead and run our build command. And there you go, ran the Webpack plugin and app.bundle.js. Great. So let's go ahead and run that file just to verify it's actually working from the dist folder. And there you go, there's our log. So now let's go ahead and create our production configuration. We'll go ahead and copy the dev configuration and customize it to our liking. So let's create a webpack.prod.js file, paste everything. Remember, we're going to do source map, not inline source map, because we're now in production. Don't need our dev server here. And the mode will be production. Go ahead and save that. Go back to our package.json file, and now we're going to add a prod command to build for production. We will adjust the mode here to production and make sure that it's using the correct config for the prod config. Save that, go ahead and run our prod command. And there you go. As you can see, the bundle size is much smaller at 956 bytes. And to verify again that it's still working, there you go. Great. If you liked the video, please give us a like and make sure that you subscribe for more awesome content to come later. Thanks for watching.